Good evening, welcome back to the STEM Shed. Today I'm going to be going over something I feel is important in math, especially as you're learning geometry. It's a good check, because a lot of times in geometry there's not a good check, making sure you did the thing right. You're like, I think I drew it right, I don't know. Well, one thing I want to go ahead and recommend is graphing paper. This is called engineer's paper. I got this in college. It's kind of hard to see, but you'll see it. It's really good. It has gridded lines on it. It's really great for checking your work and make sure you're doing everything right. When you're doing a lot of your geometry, you can get a whiteboard. I promise you, your parents will buy you a whiteboard. If you say, "Hey, Mom, Dad, I want to use a whiteboard so I can do better in math," they're not going to argue that much. All right. So, one of the first important lines I want to go over is the median. The median is kind of one of the simple ones to do. You connect between the vertex to the midpoint. Vertex and midpoint, or center of the opposite side, of course. Each one will be about 2/3 the length of each line. It's just a little factoid to know. So this is 2/3 of that line, this is 2/3 of that line, and this is 2/3 of that line. Kind of a cool little thing. All right, and that forms the centroid. The centroid is a point of perfect balance. If you rested this on your finger, it would stay. You ever see those little weird eagle things that look like this, where it's just resting on the beak? Well, that's because they weight the wingtips on the front and they balance everything. So the centroid, they have the centroid right there on the peak when you connect them all in. Basically how it works. Another point one, perpendicular bisector. Use 9° here, just draw it all the way straight through. Connects there, and that connects to the circumcenter. And this is where it's equidistant from all vertexes, so you can't see it that well here, but I have my finger on the 4" because I use a ruler to draw this. So here's 4, you can see here, my finger's roughly at 4. 4 from this vertex, 4 from that vertex. Again, rulers are good for geometry. They confirm everything you need to know. Now, I was making a mistake earlier when I was doing trying to do this video. I couldn't figure out why. I was trying to find a third point. Now, this point I think is not necessarily an important point in mathematics. I was trying to find the point where it was an equal angle between here, and then connect it all. But I was getting a weird angle, so I was getting a dot down here, which I highlighted right here, which is not in the line. If I use a ruler, connect these two lines right here, it doesn't touch that. If I connect to that one, it doesn't touch there. Again, this is why it's important. Alright, so finally I remember, wait a second, what is it? And I realized, oh yeah, it's the altitudes is what I'm looking for. The altitudes are what's important here. And again, using a ruler, you draw, set it even here, you draw down here, best you can. If you get a little sloppy, that's fine. Or erase things. You probably won't do that on your graphing paper. Alright, and again, altitudes are hard here if you're trying to just visualize it, so just use what you can. In this case here, I know I'm messing it all up, but that's fine. This is about perpendicular. And it goes roughly to the vertex. And then the same deal here. I kind of lost my line, but it gets perpendicular and it becomes right here. So, transferring this over here, and again, this is let's see, this would be called the Orthocenter. And this is this is the Orthocenter. Alright. Now I went ahead and drew this here. This was drawn out using one of these, so I was getting good measurements, a right angle, also using another long good ruler here, drawing it out. It took me a little while, but you can see there's lines everywhere. However, in the end, I was able to form the Euler line. And I'll say, oh, so all my numbers here are correct. Now again, it won't be perfect, it's a rough estimate. But if you do this, you can confirm that you made a mistake. This is a good check on your work. Form the Euler line, you'll know if you did it right. If you get confused, if you end up drawing your midpoint up here, and you'll start having off lines, and you'll say, I did something wrong. You can go back and check, and that is very important. Alright, so thank you for joining in.